Greetings, everyone. It is I, T2, again here. I think we're going to go back on one video a day now because kind of backlogged. I got a lot of them that are on my camera still. I got a lot of footage that I've uploaded but I haven't edited. And I just Path of Exile League came out last weekend, and I've also been really lazy and it's been hot outside, so I haven't been able to go outside much, which means I should have more time to edit, but not really. Got a lot of stuff going on. I got a couple air rifle videos I got working. I got a video. It's going to take a while to. I'm going to make a little movie out of it probably. It's like the Blair Witch Project. I got lost in the woods weekend before last. It started raining on me. And then I got a video where I did a pro at fishing, where I did a pro at cooking at the end because I got some fish and my boss helped me catch. Yeah, I don't remember what else there was, but there's a lot of videos I got to make. But I haven't had time because I've been using all my processing power on Path of Exile, and I can't. Maybe I got to edit it and then start queuing it up when I go to bed. I don't know. I'll figure something out. But one video a day. I think we'll pretty much beat Craft just anyway, because you haven't seen him make as many videos as he was. So just keeping you guys entertained throughout the apocalypse and rioting and Black Lives Matter and coronavirus. So today we're doing a book report on The Number of the Beast. Finished reading that. Robert Heinlein, science fiction. There's the four characters here at the bottom, if you have a good look at them. They're mostly naked because they're nudists. And if you've ever read any of Robert Heinlein's books, you probably didn't know that he's into a lot of like nudity and incest and just like plural marriages, like what do you call that? Polygamy. And I mean, he's writing about stuff in the future, so you would expect like in the future everybody gets over all their what he calls body taboos about being naked and stuff. So the first part of the book, you're like, oh my god, what are you doing, man? It's like he keeps talking about a bunch of sex shit. Like there are people that are at this dinner party or something, and like the old man, he's like the scientist, and he creates this car or a plane or some kind of machine. It's like a vehicle. It's not a time traveling machine. It's a what they call a time space twister, which I guess they didn't have space time back then because it would sound better if you call it a space time twister or space-time folder or bender or something. But if you don't know anything about non-Euclidean in-dimensional geometries, what it does is, like, we have this multiverse that we've theorized that exists of all the different possibilities that could exist. Every time there's a decision made with a particle, it makes a whole new universe. And he's figured out that the number of those universes, it's not actually an infinite number. It's the number is 6 to the power of 6, and you take that number to the power of 6. It's the number of the beast, 666. Kind of relates to the Bible, sort of, but it's more about, like, if you have a cube. Let me look at, here's some pictures of some non-Euclidean Platonic solids, or Newtonian solids, or something. I don't know. This is all about, like, when you get into the higher dimensions, like the 4th dimension and the 7th dimension, or whatever. Hyperspace. If you ever see that movie, like, Cube 2, Hypercube, or if you don't know what a tesseract is, it's like this square here. Square inside of a square. It's trying to represent something in 4 dimensions we can't really imagine because we exist in the 3rd dimension. And you also got these things here, like this thing is called a Klein bottle. It's like a glass bottle that you fold in on itself, and like if you go in one side, you come out on the inside. The outside is connected to the inside. So how do you get stuff inside of it? Well, there's also a way to get stuff inside. I don't know. It's weird. There's a whole guy that does videos on Klein bottles on YouTube. Look into Klein bottles. This is a whole field. Like, yeah, Mobius strips here. It's like a 2-dimensional twist. But basically, the theory is that you take this machine and it folds space-time, not just space, but space and time, 90 degrees. Now, what axis you fold it on, there's 3 different axes, I think, or maybe there's 6 of them. Because a cube has 6 faces, right? It's got 8 vertices. But the 6 faces of the cube is like 6 directions, if you think of it like directions you could go. So if you fold space in one of those directions, you're immediately in another whole universe, dimension. Depending on what direction you fold in, and then if you fold it again, 90 degrees from that, I don't know. It's pretty complicated. I don't know how you get this crazy high number of 6 to the 6 to the 6th. But if you do the math on it, it's a ridiculously high number. So what they did was, first of all, let's get back to the sex shit, right? So they're at this dinner party with this guy who had this thing in his garage. And, like, Robert Heinlein also, he's a very, I would say by today's standards, he would be a feminist. Because the way he writes women, they're always like super genius. They've always got like master's degrees in a lot of different sciences and math and stuff. And they're always like really self-sufficient. Like they've all been taught how to beat the shit out of, or to kill a man. They all know how to kill somebody. A lot of them, they always have like holdout weapons. Like they always have like a hidden flechette gun, or it's like some kind of a weird gun or knife on their body somewhere. They know how to like hide shit, and like they're always like really raring to go. They have the weird way of talking back then. Everybody talks real fast, and they're always like, I'm ready to bite the head off of a nail and spit it, or like spit bullets. I don't know. They're always like, women are just ready to go, beat the shit out of somebody at all times, and they're like, they can defend themselves. They're not like most people write women like really like damsels in distress or whatever. So by today's standards, I think if it wasn't for all the like incestuous kind of shit, like women would probably be big Robert Heinlein fans, but he's dead anyway. He's long been gone. He wrote books back in the 50s and 60s, so that was when they didn't really know a lot about science, how it would turn out. So it's kind of like been disproven, a lot of it, like the way spaceships would work and stuff. But it's interesting to read how they thought back then. So you got this guy and this girl, Hilda. She's like the best. She's the best pilot. Once they get in the machine, they all have different roles, and they all switch roles to see who's the best at what, so they all can know. They're preparing for any situation. Like I said, they're always prepared for shit. So one will be the pilot, one will be the commander, and one will be the astrogator, which is kind of like the navigator in space, and one is the co-pilot. And they keep switching positions. So she's the best, and they all get mad at her because she's super strict on them. But I don't know. And they kind of treat Jacob. He's like the scientist guy, kind of like a dumbass, even though he's smart enough to invent this machine. In other aspects, he's kind of a dumbass. And then you got your regular, the pilot guy. He's kind of like a, what do you call that guy from the Star Trek? The main pilot in Star Trek. What the fuck's his name? You know, he's like a good-looking guy, and he's not really that smart. I guess he is smart. I don't know. And the other one, that's the old guy's daughter, Dee Dee. And they all have like, what do you call it? Nicknames. So in the beginning of the book, they keep using their nicknames, but you don't know what they are yet. So it feels like there's like 8 people, but there's really just these 4 people. Sometimes they use their regular names, sometimes they use their nicknames. So you got to kind of figure that out. That's kind of confusing. So at this party, they got attacked by this thing called a black hat, which I think it was some creature that was trying to stop them from traveling to other dimensions or something. Or maybe the first time they used the machine, they got attacked because they didn't want to mess with space-time or something. So I thought it was going to be like one of those. But then by the end of the book, you figure out it was only the one thing, and it wasn't like a whole group of things chasing after them. So the whole time in the book, they're running from this thing. And really, they really need to. But the first universe they go to, it's kind of like Russia and England are the main 2 factions in the world, because the United States was never founded, and they never had the letter J. So like everything that starts with a J starts with an I. So they call it the universe without a J. And then they end up going to, oh man, what were all these freaking universes they went to? Some of them were really interesting. The really interesting one was where they went to a universe where they killed all the lawyers. Like that old saying, we need to kill all the lawyers. This one they really had. And the laws were kind of weird. Everything was really good except for like this weird law about balancing. Like if you accidentally got drunk and ran over a guy and he lost both of his legs, then they'd cut both of your legs off too. They'd close down a street just to have you out in the middle of the road so they could like run over your legs and cut your legs off or something. So that was kind of fucked up. But it really made you like follow the laws and be careful not to hurt anybody. And then they also had a thing where you would like what do they call it when you appraise your house? You appraise your own house. You would say how much your house is worth, but then somebody could buy your house regardless of whether you wanted to sell it or not. So you could appraise your house really low, pay really low taxes, but somebody could come along and buy it. And if you decided, well, wait a minute, I'm going to say my house is worth $10 million right now. Well, then you got to pay taxes on the last 3 years at it being at $10 million. So you got to decide, do I really want my house that bad, or is it really worth what I'm saying it's worth? It kind of encourages you not to lie, or not to lie in such a way that you're screwing yourself over, and it really makes you value things the way they should be valued. Kind of like, it's a really interesting system. We should probably do something like that. So then, there was a couple other universes they went to, I think, before they got to, like, they started realizing that a lot of these universes, they had a lot of, like, computer programming in this thing, too. Like, they programmed their ship which, by the way, is named the Gay Deceiver, which seems like that could be kind of a code for like a tranny or something, or maybe he's like making an inside joke at transsexuals. I don't know. So they had all these codes, like gay bounce would make it automatically like warp like a click above ground. H above G is what they call like height above ground. And they got a lot of like weird like short-term terms for stuff. So they'll make one that takes them right back home in case they get into a universe that's dangerous. It zips them back home real fast. Or one that will just kind of do a drunkard's walk. It kind of makes it just like go randomly until it finds something. And hang on a minute, I'm gonna have to edit this shit now. My dog just jumped at me and missed a chair. Alright, so what was I saying about the fucking? Alright, they're at this dinner party. They get attacked by this black cat thing. And for some reason they decide that they need to get married to each other. So the two couples marry each other. And then they all go to their separate rooms and fuck. And they both get pregnant. So now when they're looking around in these other universes, they got to try to find the one that's suitable. They can have their babies, even though it's like 9 months away and they just started. But it's all interesting. So if you don't know anything about Robert Heinlein's other books about Lazarus Long, that's the kind of reason I got this one, is because it's part of the Lazarus Long series. He's a guy who's lived for a very long time. He was born in like the 1800s. His mother like died because after he got into like, I don't even remember like the original story, how he got into space. But like he ended up making like a utopian society on a spaceship where he lives forever. You can always like, what do you call it? When you refresh your body and they revert you back to a younger age. Or make you horny as a goat, like they say. Yeah, his rule of thumb was once you get to the point where you're not interested in looking at women anymore, then it's time to go back young again because you're getting too old. And that, I guess that makes a lot of sense. But it's also like this utopian society is kind of like you have sex with everybody you know. Like your family, your friends. That way when you're sitting around in your utopian society, you know, like it's like heaven pretty much. Nobody's wondering about like what's it like to fuck this guy over here? What's it like to fuck this woman that I know, or my friend, or my mother, or the sister, or daughter that's a clone of me, or this cloned body that we put a computer AI into that is now human, even though it was super intelligent. Like all of this, everybody he knows, everybody fucks everybody. Pretty sure. So they also all pretty much are nudists and they walk around naked all the time. So that's how these 4 people in this spaceship, they're kind of like that too, but they're not really part of his group yet. He also went back in time and like saved his family, like his mother was going to die or something, and then he kidnapped her and he replaced her with a clone of herself that did die, so nobody knew that she was gone. So now his mother's with him in this utopian society. He does this with like a lot of people. He'll like snatch them out of time, and then he'll like replace them with like an old dead body that he's made a clone of to like cover the tracks. It's really weird, but it's really cool too in the same way. So they find all these universes that are uninhabited. It's like they're just empty. And they realize these are like fictional universes of books or movies or whatever that haven't been created yet. Because on that same axis that they're spinning around in, they find like the Wizard of Oz universe. Oz. So their spaceship is kind of cramped in there. They got a little bathroom. So they have the Good Witch Glinda make them like an extension on their ship that's connected to Oz, because magic exists in this universe. So even though like it doesn't exist in other universes, she's already put it on their ship, so it carries it over into other universes. And then I guess it starts propagating like it could. Like if you took magic out of a universe that it existed in, took a seed of it into another universe where it doesn't, then it kind of begins to exist in this other universe. It's really interesting. So like it could be out dark, and they're in the darkness of space, and they'll go to the bathroom and there's like sun coming in from Oz. How cool is that? So then they go and they find like the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland in one universe, and then they find Gulliver's Travels universe, and then they go to like at the end of the book they're like having a big tournament with King Arthur's knights and stuff. But they met up with this Lazarus Long guy, and they became part of his, what do you call it? He's got a name for all these people that have like lived. They're in this program because they live longer than usual. They got the right kind of genes, but they make them like honorary members or something, or maybe they would have been anyway. It's fucking good. It started out really kind of like way too much sexual shit, but then it got really interesting. The way they talk too, And the characters, like the way the women are, like Dee Dee's really interesting too. You just gotta check it out. If you've never read any Robert Heinlein, look into it. Yeah, like Lazarus Long has these two computer AIs called Athene and Tamara. That one of them, or Minerva, I think is one of them. They're all like computer AIs, but they've been put into bodies. One of them's still a computer, but she's going to be like a human pretty soon. So then the AI from their ship, the Gay Deceiver, she wants to become like a person so she can fuck all over her 4 people that ride in her all the time. It's really weird. There's also illustrations in this book. You don't see that a lot anymore. There's like titties in this book. But it's tastefully done. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to describe without sounding like a crazy person. Another weird thing that he does is like he says when you get pregnant, they call it the baby will catch or something, like the sperm caught with the egg or something. He'll say like well, hopefully you'll catch or you'll... So like I didn't really explain this part. Another reason that they all want to fuck each other is that they want to combine their genes. Because they're living pretty much forever. They want to see like every possibility of what kind of humans can exist. So, one of the super geniuses, I think it might be one of the computer AIs or something. That wouldn't make sense because how do you genetically get smart when you're already a computer? So one of Lazarus Long's women that he has around in his utopia are kind of like, they have really good mathematical skills. So, maybe he does. Maybe his mother did. I don't know. But here's a picture of him like taking a bath with Hilda. You can't really see that on the camera. It's probably good because there's tits in it. But like Jacob and Hilda are married, and they're like, well, we want to like have a baby with Hilda because she's a mathematical genius. I thought Dee Dee was the mathematical genius. Either way, they want to have sex with her to have a baby. He's like, yeah, go ahead. They're all like fine with it because that's in the future. Everybody's fine with everybody fucking everybody. There's no like jealousy over stupid sexual shit. There's no taboos about nudity. Because there's no reason to. You get rid of all the diseases, conquer all these bullshit things that causes problems, and you can create a utopia. I don't know. Why would you get mad at somebody having sex with your wife if you're like, you're just going to have sex with your wife for like 1,000 billion years? Anyway, that's Robert Heinlein in a nutshell. Definitely, I keep saying check them out, but nobody's ever reading any of these books. Nobody ever gets back to me like, oh, I read that book you recommended. I've never met anybody that's read any Robert Heinlein that wants to talk about it. So it's just going to be me. I'm the only one that knows about like how awesome society could be. But we're all too chicken shit.